Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of First Chronicles, the 28th chapter. And David assembled all the princes of Israel, the princes of the tribes, and the captains of the companies that ministered to the king by course, and the captains over the thousands, and captains over the hundreds, and the stewards over all the substance and possession of the king. And they were like the overseers in the house, in matters of as I just mentioned, the substance and provisions. They would track it all down, and so on and so forth. And his sons with the officers, and with the mighty men, and with all the valiant men unto Jerusalem. Then David the king stood up upon his feet, and said, Hear me, my brethren, and my people. As for me, I had in my heart to build an house of the rest, a house of rest for the ark of the covenant of the Lord Yahweh. So it was his original intention to build an house for the Lord, to place an ark, or to place the ark there, and for the footstool of our God, and had made ready for the building. So he prepared everything. But God said unto me, Thou shalt not build an house for my name, because thou hast been a man of war, and hast shed blood. So basically, the Lord held David back from doing that, and letting him know that he had appointed somebody else to do it, because David had his role was really laying the groundwork for it. Howbeit, the Lord Yahweh God of Israel chose me before all the house of my father to be king over Israel forever. So of everybody else of all his relatives, the Lord chose him out of his house to be king over Israel. For he hath chosen Judah to be the ruler, and of the house of Judah, the house of my father, and among the sons of my father, he liked me to make me king over all Israel. So of all the tribes, at first it was Benjamin, of which Saul came from, but the Lord ended up choosing Judah, and then, David's house, and of all of them, David. And of all my sons, for the Lord Yahweh hath given me many sons, he hath chosen Solomon my son to sit upon the throne of the kingdom of the Lord over Israel. And he said unto me, Solomon thy son, he shall build my house and my courts, for I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. Moreover, I will establish his kingdom forever, if he be constant to do my commandments and my judgments. And when something is constant, it's consistent, it's steady, right? And so if he steadily continues in the ways of the Lord to follow his commandments and his judgments, as at this day, right, as you are doing this day. Now, therefore, in the sight of all Israel, the congregation of the Lord, and in the audience of our God, this is David speaking, keep and seek for all the commandments of the Lord Yahweh your God, that ye may possess this good land. So continue to follow the ways of the Lord, the things he has commanded us, so that you can remain right in possession of this blessing the Lord has given us, and leave it for an inheritance for your children after you forever. And thou, Solomon, my son, know thou the God of thy father, and serve him with a perfect heart and with a willing mind. And with a perfect heart, meaning that you don't waver or differ to the left or to the right, aside from anything the Lord has ordained you or commanded you to do. And with a willing mind, always ready and apt to do the will of the Lord. For the Lord Yahweh searcheth all hearts, and understandeth all the imaginations of the thoughts. So you don't have to even say something for the Lord to know what you're thinking or what your intents are. If thou seek him, he will be found of thee. But if thou forsake him, he will cast thee off forever. So he'll deal with you as you deal with him. If you seek the Lord to follow his ways, he'll make himself found unto you. Right? But if you go away from the Lord, he'll cast you off. The difference is when the Lord casts you off, it looks much different than when you forsake the Lord. Because really, when you forsake the Lord, it's to your own hurt. And when he casts you off, that comes with all the things we saw post the time of Solomon into the time of our captivities. Verse 10, take heed now, for the Lord Yahweh hath chosen thee to build an house for the sanctuary. Be strong and do it. All right, so take this very seriously. In this work the Lord has charged you with is not a light thing. Then David gave to Solomon his son the pattern of the porch, and of the houses thereof, and of the treasuries thereof, and of the upper chambers thereof, and of the inner parlors thereof, and of all the place of the mercy seat, and the pattern, which is the design, the blueprint, of all that he had by the Spirit. So the Lord revealed to David the pattern of how he wanted this house to be built. And that's why I said that David had this by the Spirit, and he passed it on to Solomon. And that's why when Solomon, was building the temple, it was according to a particular, blueprint. It was according to particular designs of the courts of the house of the Lord Yahweh, and of all the chambers round about, of the treasures of the house of God, and of the treasuries of the dedicated things. Also for the courses of the priests and the Levites, and for all the work of the service of the house of the Lord Yahweh, and for all the vessels of service in the house of the Lord. He gave of gold by weight for things of gold, for all instruments of all manner of service, silver also for all instruments of silver by weight, for all instruments of every kind of service. So everything that needed to be built, or let's see, prepared for the temple, any instruments, any tools, anything like that that was to be made in gold, David had prepared gold for it. Anything for silver, he had prepared silver for it. Even the weight of the candlesticks of gold, which is the menorah, or at least it's called now, and for the lamps of gold by weight for every candlestick, and for the lamps thereof, and for the candlesticks of silver by weight, both for the candlestick, also for the lamps thereof, according to the use of every candlestick. And by weight he gave gold for the tables of shewbread, for every table, and likewise silver for the tables of silver. So this was basically like the measuring of everything that needed to be made, and how much was needed for each one. Also pure gold for the flesh hooks, and the bowls, and the cups, and for the golden basins he gave gold by weight for every basin, and likewise silver by weight for every basin of silver. And this is why these other nations, when they saw a temple, the temple of the Lord, they were in such, they were in awe. To them, it was, riches, right? That's why they carried away those vessels, at least when the Babylonians came, because this was gold, gold, silver. And for the altar of incense, refined gold by weight, and gold for the pattern of the chariot of the cherubims that spread out their wings and covered the ark of the covenant of the Lord. So this is the design for the altar of incense, which is similar to how the pattern was, as it says, of the chariot of the cherubims, which are like the angels for that design, right? When we go into that in the book of, I believe, Exodus, it goes into the design of the angels, or of the ark, really. Verse 19, all this said David, the Lord Yahweh made me understand in writing by his hand upon me, even all the works of this pattern. So the Lord revealed it to David, right? And then had him write it down, which is interesting because the Lord did the same for Moses, right? But and had him write it down, right? Note down the pattern. This is going to be of gold, that's going to be of gold. This is how the altar should look. This is how the temple should be designed, and so on and so forth. And David said to Solomon his son, be strong and of good courage, and do it. Fear not, nor be dismayed. Don't be discouraged. For the Lord Yahweh God, even my God, will be with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee, until thou hast finished all the work for the service of the house of the Lord Yahweh. And behold, the courses of the priests and the Levites, even they shall be with thee for all the service of the house of God. So I've already set up, and as David is saying, right, and appointed courses and lots for the Levites to serve in this house. And there shall be with thee for all manner of workmanship every willing, skillful man, right? So when it comes to the actual designing and making of these things, crafting it, we already have people prepared for you for any manner of service. Also the princes and all the people will be holy at thy commandment. So you have everything, materials, the people, everything. Now just go ahead and fulfill it, complete it, and build that temple for the Lord. And you can see this is something that David really, really like. That's why I said it was in his heart to do, right? He really wanted to do this. And that's why, at the very least, him not being able to build it himself, he set up everything down to the T so that all Solomon had to do was implement this. And that brings us to the end of First Chronicles, the 28th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.